So here we are in the middle of March. It's my hope that the cold weather is behind us, but the one thing that has never cooled down in any way, shape, or form has been the real estate market. So in this month's real estate market report, we're really going to focus in on home prices. As you know, they have been absolutely going up and up and up. It's got a lot of people nervous, and it begs the question, is now still even a good time to consider buying a home? And what does the future have in store for home prices as we go further into 2022? Hi, this is Andrew with the S2 real estate team of eXp Realty here in Frisco, Texas. And home prices are something that have been on the mind of a lot of people. A lot of people that we have talked to have gotten very, very nervous about what's going on with home prices. As a matter of fact, a recent survey that was just done showed that 77% of all consumers are thinking that we are in a real estate bubble. And today's video is not going to be about a real estate bubble. I did put a link in the description below because I talked about that in great detail just a couple of weeks ago. So if you'd like more information on that, please click that link. But today, I really want to take a look at home prices. Now, it's got a lot of people concerned considering how much they've gone up. Is real estate still a good investment? Should you even be thinking about buying a home at this point in time? And I'd like to preface that by saying what I'm going to share with you today isn't going to be to convince you one way or the other. I can't do that. Only you can make the decision that's best for you. And that's what's most important. What I can tell you is that rents are going up quite substantially fast as well. And everyone needs to live somewhere. So you are going to be paying a mortgage. The question is, whose mortgage are you going to pay? Yours or your landlord's? Right? So again, only you can make the best decision. And the vast majority of real estate is bought around a life event, a growing family, a shrinking family, a job relocation, something along those terms. That's usually what drives people to make a purchase. But there's always that question of, or fear, I should say, about people not wanting to buy at the top. So are we at the top? Are we at the top of the market and we're about to see a big correction? I honestly don't think so. And again, go and check out that other video that I've linked below that talks about why I don't think that. But right now, what you're going to see as I go through just a few slides with you today is it's really a question of supply and demand. Supply and demand has been driving home prices. And this goes back to COVID. So when COVID and all of the offices shut down, a lot of companies are still working remotely and have made a lot of positions remote permanent. That's caused a lot of people to migrate and move from high price areas to lower priced areas. It's created a shift in the demand models that we've never seen before. At the same point in time, we've had record low mortgage rates, which have only added to that demand. So you've had incredibly low supply in the face of rising demand, which is what has caused prices to jump. Now let's take a look at this as I show you a few slides here. So if it has felt as though home prices have been going up even faster, it's actually because they have. And that's kind of something that happened towards the end of 2021 and has continued further forward, as shown on this graph here. If you go all the way back to January 2021, so the beginning of last year, this is showing national average home price appreciation, the pace of appreciation year over year by month. Okay, we were right at about 10% appreciation. You will notice that right around July, we kind of flattened out. You know, July through December, it was kind of treading water. That's what we were seeing. Yes, you had a bounce, and depending on the market, the trend was up. But nationally, here's what was going on. That changed as we move into January. And the reason for that is what happened with mortgage rates. So mortgage rates had basically been treading water from about mid-September all the way through October, November. They weren't really doing much of anything. You might recall towards the end of the year, as we moved into December, rates started to go up. They started to make a climb, especially in the second half of December. And that caused a lot of buyers that had been on the fence to jump back into the market, afraid that they were going to get priced out. And that's reflected in the January 2022 pricing numbers, which showed year-over-year appreciation was accelerating. Now, if we actually break this down by state, it's a little bit different. So here in Texas, we had about 19.3% year-over-year appreciation on average. Okay, a little bit more than that here in Frisco and Prosper, where we predominantly work in Texas. But you also notice that 19.6% in California, on a whopping 27.4% in Arizona. Those are the three markets that we cover. And so we were seeing very similar dynamics in all of the different markets. Now, if you look at Frisco in particular, which is what I'm going to focus on in today's video, I want to point something out here. Even though it seems as though we've been in a bidding war and multiple offer situation forever, we haven't. I didn't experience my first bidding war personally until February of 2021. As a matter of fact, in January of 2021, we were still helping people with new construction. We were still getting to pick the lot. We were still not competing. That's just over a year ago. It seems as though it's been with us forever, but it's been about the last year. So even though prices had been increasing, you can see right here what happened at the beginning of 2021. Here's January. Here's February. Boom. The bidding war took off, right? And that's what we saw. If you remember from that first slide, I said things kind of treaded water with regards to the latter half of 2021. Here's where it is. Now, all of a sudden, what happened? Those interest rates dropped a little bit. The mortgage rates caused an increase in demand at a time of the year when we normally have the lowest amount of inventory, and you see the spike in prices once again. That's shown even more clearly here on this, which shows the number of homes available for sale. This is inventory here in Frisco. And again, I'm using Frisco as an example, but this is going to mirror itself in virtually every single city in the entire country. If you go back here in the beginning of 2020, there's nearly 800 homes for sale. Beginning of 2019, we're up not far under 1,000. And look at where we are here, right? There's less than 200. There's nothing for sale. So again, here's about February 2021. And what did I say happened? You saw pricing the bidding wars really took off. Pricing jumped. But there's the flat line that we talked about. It kind of mirrored where inventory was. And then as we started down again, it caused home prices to start to increase at a faster rate of appreciation once again. This right here is a snapshot of a market report that Troy and I put out every single week. You can get one for yourself. They're good for the entire country. If you put any city or zip code right here, you will actually get this full report. You can only subscribe to it if you are in one of the markets that we subscribe to. So this mainly covers North Texas, but you can save that URL and check back every single week, and this will be updated. The one thing I want to point out on here is if you're not interested in the numbers, you don't want to geek out over all of this stuff, and I can appreciate that. It's right here. It's the Market Action Index. This, if you think of it, is like a speedometer. It measures the market in and amongst itself. So it goes from 0 to 100. And the farther closer to 100 it gets, the stronger the market is. So the more into a seller's market it is. Anything over a reading of 30 means market conditions generally favor the seller. If you get, numbers below 30, it generally favors the buyer. We are at about as strong a seller's market here in Frisco as you can possibly imagine. You can see that there's hardly any price reductions taking place. Rent is very strong. The average price per square foot's up, and you can see the median price of the newest homes for sale, as well as all properties. So again, this is a good little indicator. It comes out every single week. And if you just want to have a quick snapshot of what the market's doing in your zip code, your city, please feel free to check this out. There's also a link to this in the description directly below. Now, with all this in mind, considering what home prices have been doing, it begs the question, is now a good time to buy a home? And like I said at the very beginning, it really depends on what your goals are. Now, a lot of people are very concerned about buying at the top of the market, and I understand that. I'll be honest with you, when I bought my first house back in the mid 1990s, I didn't even think about it. It wasn't even on my radar. I knew that I wanted to buy a home. As a matter of fact, after I bought, the market did take a downturn, and the value of that home actually went down for 3 years. Didn't matter because I lived in it for 10. So over the course of time, I ended up selling that home and doing just fine. Created quite a bit of equity over that time period. And that's the important thing to keep in mind. The vast majority of people live in a home for between 9 and 11 years currently. Over that period of time, real estate generally tends to go up. Now, again, hindsight is always 2020, right? So if you look at it now, if you had an opportunity to buy a home a couple of years ago, knowing what you know now with regards to pricing, would you? I'm pretty sure you would. So take a look at this. If we go back now and look over the past 5 years, this is the average change in home value over the past 5 years. Look at these numbers. Someone that bought a home 5 years ago in Arizona, on average, their value is up 84.2%. 58.2% in California. We're right at 54% here in Texas. The national average is 54 and a half. So very strong appreciation and a huge builder of wealth. This is creating a lot of wealth for people. These price appreciation numbers that you see, yes, they might go up and down from month to month or year over year, but over time, they're always generally going up. Let's play a little bit further. Let's go further back. Let's say you had property that was given to you or you owned since 1991. Look at the average changes in prices since 1991. Here in Texas, we're at 292%, 291 in California. Look at this, 404% appreciation over that time period in Arizona, 556% since 1991 in Utah. So again, it just goes to show that with real estate, the one thing I would encourage you is to make sure that you think about it as a long-term investment. But saying that, what are the experts, what does the latest surveys show for what they think home prices are going to do for the remainder of this year? And as of right now, the average is that home price appreciation will come down. It will not continue at this breakneck pace. Actually, this week, we actually saw nationally inventory tick up for the first time. It's ahead of the pace of when it ticked up last year. We're also seeing that here in Frisco, a slight increase in inventory. That's good news, right? We need more inventory. We need some balance to come back into the market. It's expected that that will continue going forward. And as a result, the pace of appreciation year over year is expected to settle down. So the average is 6.1%. CoreLogic are the most aggressive at 9.6%. Zelman are the most conservative at only 3% appreciation. But I would like to point out, just a couple months ago, Zelman were forecasting negative appreciation for this year. They were actually forecasting home prices to decline. That has now spun around, and they also are in positive territory. Obviously, right now, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. No one knows for sure exactly what is going to happen. And that's a scary proposition for a lot of people. Gas is way up, right? Inflation is running way up. The overall US economy remains strong, however. So it's expected right now that 2022 and beyond, unless something very unexpected happens, will be a very good year for real estate. So hopefully this information on home prices helps and gives you some of the additional information you need to make the decision that's best for you, as that is the absolute most important thing. But if you have additional questions or a specific situation you'd like to talk through, please feel free to give us a call. Number is on the screen now, or feel free to send an email to contact@s2realestateteam.com, and we'd be happy to get in touch with you and talk that situation through and see if we can help however we can.